What do you think is going to live past the pandemic? I mean, one of the things I found interesting in our conversation is you had to think this way because of the geographic dispersion to begin with. I mean, to get specialists into such a wide geography is incredibly hard. And I mean, do you think that telehealth will live, the amount of telehealth you're doing is going to live past? Do you think some of those protocols of keeping a distance for intake and stuff are going to change or stay the same?
So there's a few things that I think will live past this phase of the. I don't know if COVID ever goes away. I think it's something we're going to be dealing with, concerned about for when I talk to my providers, I say the remainder of your career you're going to be dealing with this. I hope I'm wrong, right? Hope I'm wrong, but hope for the best, plan for the worst is kind of a good mantra to have. The few things that I think are going to be ingrained, one of them is an ethical issue. And I'll kind of cover that last because that's one of the more interesting points. I think that knowing that you have the ability to put a patient in a room and deliver healthcare to that person with the total in-person time, the total time that you have a staff member within 6 feet of that person, we're at less than 2 minutes. Chaperone takes that person, puts them in a room, puts a vital sign monitor on it. The patient calls out the vital signs, right? We want that person out of the room as quick as we can. In my facility, I've seen COVID patients. 0 of our staff have contracted COVID through the course of their duties. Wonderful, wonderful, kind of statistic. I think that once you have the ability to do that, you are going to be willing to utilize that in other avenues of infectious disease, right? It's going to be more commonplace that you can deliver care outside the exam room. I believe that it is going to push telemedicine regulations forward, and they may be scaled back a little bit as far as the payer side, but I think that there'll be permanent changes to the way we view telemedicine. I think that having hardware on hand for responses, one of the coolest things that you can do is, Mr. Russell, let's say you got a clerk and the clerk has to welcome people to the clinic and check them in, right? You stick a Kindle on a stand, you have that Kindle run whatever platform you want to over your network, and then you put a Kindle in the back, and now you've just replaced that video audio communication. Virus is not going to go through that network, right? So you can take any position and virtualize that with the network that you have. So that's something that I think will stay there, that sort of response. And the last thing, this is the only original thought I ever had in my life. I had an original thought, and I said this at 2015 in the WEDI keynote. It's hard to have an original thought, but here's my original thought. A patient who has autonomy, part of the patient's autonomy is their choice in how to represent their concept of self. So you're choosing to have a Zoom call with me, and I am respecting that that is you. That is yourself. Like Aristotle would say, you can't remove the ability to cut from the knife. It's no longer a knife. So this is your concept of self. I believe that that's you. I respect it, right? If you call me on the phone, same thing. That is your choice in how to represent yourself. I believe in the future, there will be an ethical consideration that says refusing to accept and agree to a patient's desire to represent themselves electronically will be seen as a violation of the patient's autonomy. And then it's ethically prohibited. You cannot violate the patient's autonomy. And as I've brought this up, I've had people who were critics, and they said, look, you can't argue that you have to let a patient do video telemedicine because it's their concept of self, because you may not have the technology to do that. But if you are going to operate on someone, you have to get a consent form. And your argument can't be, we don't have the ability to provide a consent form, right? So I think that as we go forward, there's going to become big ethical issues in how you actually deliver care. Like, do you allow that person to get care? Are we going to have systems that refuse to do it unless it's done a certain way? There is consumerism is a big part of this, right? So the market may favor systems that use telemedicine. But I believe that at some point it'll become so ingrained that you're not really allowed to make a person insert a nozzle into a vehicle and put fossil fuel in it to get in it to drive up to your facility, just because that's how you respect their concept of self. And that's kind of I know it's an esoteric thing, but down the road, I think it'll happen. I think that's going to be a big issue.